Good afternoon, everyone. It is Saturday, November 13th, 2021, and it's 1:01 p.m. And as always, that is when we hold Western Liberty Network's weekly Zoom training conference. Today, we have Suzanne Gallagher for Parents' Rights in Education. I'm very proud of the fact that today, Parents' Rights in Education joined on as an independent affiliate of Western Liberty Network. We have a growing network of affiliates. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Now, as a 501c3 organization, Western Liberty Network does not endorse or oppose any candidate, political party, ballot measure, or legislation, but we do train limited government grassroots activists how to do politics successfully. And then they are, once trained, able to take the training that they've acquired and apply it in any way they wish for those projects and campaigns that they value. All of the comments made by our guest and any participants are entirely their own responsibility. They do not necessarily reflect the views of Western Liberty Network. People who want to know more about us can go to our website. I'm going to share the screen for a moment here. This is our Western Liberty Network website. This is the homepage, and as you can see towards the top, we always feature the person on the upcoming Zoom training, and that, of course, is Suzanne Gallagher. There's her face there. Scroll down, you'll see other activities that Western Liberty Network has engaged in. Live trainings, work with people running for local office, annual conferences. There are resources. You can look at an agenda and past documents with other conferences. You can also click on here and listen to speeches that were made at previous conferences, one by Kat Timpf, Lars Larson, Noah Wall of Freedom Works, and up here, Andrei Ilyaronov, who was Vladimir Putin's former senior economic advisor before he defected and came to the United States. A lot of really good information here that's available to anyone. If you really want to get training resources, just go to our training tab. And if you go here and scroll down, you will see sort of a summary of the kind of training we provide. And then you've got a number of documents you can download. These are documents relating to various topics. They're designed to be provided with a live training session, but they stand up on their own. None of them are copyrighted. If you see something that's useful or interesting to you, dealing with the media, how to lobby public office holders, components of a campaign plan, whatever is interesting to you, you're free to download it and copy it and distribute it in any way that you see fit. Scroll down a little further, and you've got our weekly training sessions. After we're finished today, Suzanne's training session is going to be at the top of this list, but if you go down, you'll see almost a year's worth of training sessions on a variety of topics, many of them featuring a guest trainer, somebody that is expert in their particular area of expertise. Like here's one with Steve Moore, who was Donald Trump's economic advisor. Cleon Cox, who's a Toastmasters person, just lots of interesting people and lots of good information. Janice Dysinger, people that have done wonderful work, Senator Kim Thatcher, and I've done some of these trainings too. So that information is all available to you. Now, we will be having our annual conference. It's a big deal in Vancouver, Washington at the Hilton Hotel. It will be on February 5th, 2022, and there will be a free reception the night before at the conference hotel. Registration information will be at the top of our homepage, and of course the Zoom session will be below that, but always toward the top, and you'll be able to register. We're looking at the price being around $75. It's the only thing that we charge for throughout the year, and there will be hotel rooms available at a discounted rate. It is a recently remodeled hotel. It is just gorgeous. You're going to love it, and it's going to be a great event. So with that, see, Margaret Highland is just joining. We've got a nice little group here. I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne Gallagher, and when she wants, I will give her the screen. So Suzanne, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Let's see. So I'm looking for my acceptance of your invite to host.
Okay, I need to do that right now. I haven't quite mastered that yet.
It's okay. Yeah, I do it frequently with other conference calls
Yes.
within Parents' Rights in Education. And it's really easy. I'm trying to remember how you do it. So you're going to go to the list where it says participants.
Yeah.
Click on participants, and then you
Yep.
go to my name and say make host. And I promise I'll give it back to you if I'm doing
That's fine.
anything that you don't
Okay.
like.
You are now the host.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. This is so great. Oh my gosh, I know quite a few of you. I just met Barbara. Barbara is an attorney. She's
No,
No?
I'm with a law
Oh.
firm. I'm not
Oh, she's with the
practicing.
law
I'm
firm.
I'm
I
not
beg your pardon.
practicing. I'm not practicing. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
she's not practicing. Oh, she made that very clear, right? I think we're all practicing to one way or another, right? I'm not practicing my interior design business that much either, but I still am an interior designer. And we have Renee. I know Renee. Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Margaret Highland and Donna. And welcome. And Tim S. Tim S., do you have a last name? Are you willing to share your last name?
Sure, Sipple.
Okay, Tim, and where do you live?
I'm in the Portland area.
Okay, in Portland.
Uh,
Portland, bless your
Yeah.
heart. Yeah. Well, welcome all of you. I asked you on the chat. Now open your chat. This is a really good way for us to communicate when we're going through a lot of information. And what I thought I would do with you guys is have you ask me questions in the chat to make sure that I'm tracking with you and I'm not missing any questions you might have as we go along. But I don't think I really need to mute you all, but as the group increases in numbers, if that does take place, right now we're kind of a nice tight group, but if people join, I'll probably just mute you all to make sure that everybody can hear everything I say. And then when you have questions, put it in the chat and then we can unmute as we go along. All righty. So what I thought I would do is introduce you to Parents' Rights in Education. And most of the items that are on the laundry list that Richard gave to me are pertaining to specific rights based on law. And since all of you are in the state of Oregon, I thought I would take you to our website. So I'm going to do a screen share of my screen and open this up really big here. Okay, so this is our homepage on our website. If you haven't visited, you'll want to do that. We are a national organization and we represent 12 states. We have several interested in joining us at this time. Okay, I'm going to admit Michelle. There she comes. And we are on the website for Parents' Rights in Education. Michelle, welcome. So I'd like you to put any questions that you have in the chat for now. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to visit the website. And Michelle, are you in Oregon? Can you just answer me that?
I am, Southern Oregon.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the laws in Oregon. So on our website, we're a national organization and we represent several other states. And if you look at the homepage for Parents' Rights in Education, you'll see what we stand for. We stand for the fundamental right of parents to raise their children and firmly believe that children belong to their families, not to the state, not the teachers union, or any other bureaucrat. And we believe that in this current and increasing political climate of medical mandates, forced vaccines, and the hypersexualization of children through various outlets, parents should have the final say and call the shots. And I think that's kind of a play on words, but it is interesting because we should be controlling anything medical that is being offered to our children. And there should be written permission required. That is really basic and fundamental. Think about it. Okay, so we have children, we birth them, we pay for everything that they do in their life pretty much until they're 18, unless they have a job. And and lots of kids have jobs and we appreciate that. But when it comes to their medical care, we believe that parents should have the final say, whether or not it's in law. And of course, we're going to be looking at the law now. But when it comes to public schools, we believe that public schools should adopt this policy of parents having the first right of refusal, right? For anything pertaining to medical care, and that includes mental health. And we want to restore the parents' rights in public education because our rights have been encroached upon. And you'll see when we go to the Oregon page what that looks like. So across the top, we have information about federal law. And I'm going to have you look at that as well, because federal law has 5 times federal law by the Supreme Court has upheld the right of parents to direct the education of their children. Every one of the pages on our site include resource materials, and you see my cursor here. I'm going to click on the resource materials on the federal law page so you can see how they're presented. Here's several items. We don't want to overwhelm parents and citizens with so much material that they don't know what to look at first. We hope that we are titling all of our, I'm going to let this one on too. We hope that we're titling all of our attachments, all of our PDF attachments, so that you can get an idea what they're about. So for example, the law recognizes that parents know best right here. So if you click on the download file, that doesn't mean that it's automatically downloaded. It means that you can look at it and determine whether or not you want to download it. Here we have the law recognizing that parents know best. And these are the laws that have been enshrined by the Supreme Court 5 times in 1925, 1944, 72, and 77, and the very last one in the year 2000. Parents have the right, coupled with the high duty, to recognize and prepare their children for additional obligations. In addition to that, there is the FERPA Act, FERPA, which protects the privacy of family records and information. And by the way, provides for access by parents to all family records and information that the school has. And then the Protection of Pupil Rights Act, which requires all instructional materials, that includes curriculum, surveys, etc., to be available for inspection by parents and guardians. Those last 2 are very, very important, and they are detailed on our site. So these are the Oregon Revised Statutes and Oregon Administrative Rules that we highlight and can be looked up on the internet. And that includes the right and guardian that parents and guardians have to inspect the instructional materials to be used before or during the time the course is taught. This is a big one, you guys, because everybody wants to know that they have the ability to look at materials, but oftentimes school districts they'll kind of stonewall, would you say, parents when they are trying to access these materials. Parents and guardians have the right to be notified in advance of any instruction on human sexuality. Now, we detail these on the actual site, so I'm not going to read every one to you. Let's see, refusal to take part or participate in any class. This is gigantic. Course survey, assembly, or school-sponsored activity on human sexuality, and shall not be reason for harassment, suspension, or expulsion of a student. Gigantic. Schools, teachers, or staff who do not want to participate in presentation of human sexuality curriculum cannot be sanctioned, disciplined, or otherwise compelled to participate against their compliance. A parent or guardian has the right to request disclosure of public records. Boom. Parent or guardian can require a school district's attorney to generate a legal opinion explaining how the school district is addressing the legal interests. So I'm showing you this so you know that you don't have to take copious notes. You can go to our website and download any of these materials whenever you need them. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. So that's in our resource materials, and there are many others that are excellent. for you to access as well. So we'll scroll down here. This is the FERPA Act. And this is the law pertaining to parents' privacy rights, protecting the right of parents to access all information. And that word I would highlight, all information about their child from the school. Educational records. They have the right to confirm the accuracy and seek to have the records amended. For example, if you take exception to some records that they have on your child, you have the right to amend those. Let's see. Parents have also the right to consent to disclosures of personally identifiable information in the record. You have the right to review and appeal those records. I mean, this is really, really important, you guys, because these records follow your child beyond the time they're even at the school. The consent to disclosure of personally identifiable information. Parents alone have the authority to permit the release of their child's personally identifiable information. That means information where their name is attached. Big time. PII refers to any data or information about students. So right there, you can click to download the PDF of that law. Now, on the West Coast, we have we take issue with a ruling by the Ninth Supreme Court. In 2005, the Ninth Circuit Court, not Supreme Court, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals found in Fields versus Palmdale School District that the Myers-Pierce right, that was stated in a Supreme Court ruling, the Myers-Pierce right of parents to direct the upbringing of their children, so they're taking exception to that, does not exist beyond the threshold of the school door. What did the court do? Well, they refused to allow the Myers to sue the Palmdale School District because they wanted to change what was being taught to their children, and they wanted parents to have access to information. This was a big eye-opener for me about 3 years ago when I called a meeting with two or three attorneys who represent pro bono law firms, including Pacific Justice Institute and the Alliance Defending Freedom, because we were trying to figure out what kind of cases are we looking for? How should we, address some of these issues that we have in the state of Oregon primarily at the time? And they kept pointing back to this. Well, we can't really do anything about that, because of the Ninth Circuit, because of this ruling. And in that ruling, the court stated, quote, "We conclude that the parents are possessed of no constitutional right to prevent the public schools from providing information on the subject of sexuality to their students in any form or manner they," meaning the school district, "select," unquote. So what can we do about that? Well, what we can do is encourage our school districts to pass a policy requiring opt-in, and that means written permission from the parents to opt their child in to controversial curriculums. And that's up to the local school district to determine what those teachings shall be. In other words, those subjects that are highly controversial, such as critical race theory, such as social justice, I mean, you name it, that's up to the school district to analyze, working with parents in the district. And I would say that the human sexuality component of student health, remember, student health courses are not 100% focused on comprehensive sexuality. They teach other things that are very good that are not necessarily controversial. But I would recommend that parents get involved in their local school district and they look at this option to have opt-in. You know what? That's a win-win, and I'll go over that a little bit later. There's also a section on our website that addresses opt-in. Federal law, moving on, federal law. I want to make sure I have my chat window open here and I don't see it. Where is it? Federal law also protects parents' right to review curriculum. I'm gonna make this a little smaller so I can see my chat window. There it is. Okay, good. Okay, good. You're asking questions. So Margaret asks, has the Supreme Court most recently ruled in favor of parents? They have. I think I said that the latest one was in the year 2000. Okay, and Donna, how do you couple federal law for parents to have access to records in Oregon's law that kids can receive medical without parents' knowledge? We will take a look at that. I think a lot of this takes place actually, Donna, in the individual school districts. And part of that is where we address the power that school district has. And you have answered that question yourself. Love it. You run for school board, and we agree. Love that. Because if your school board isn't listening to you, what do? Well, you change the people on the school board. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the federal law protects parents' rights to review curriculum. So this is huge, and actually it also exists in Oregon to a degree. Under federal law, parents have a right to see all instructional materials regardless of formal format or context. There it is right there. You can click on it and go right to the law. Send to the school your request by email, request to review curriculum, and then cite that law. This is why it's so important for us to know what our rights are, because they, oftentimes school administrators, teachers, other officials within the school system can easily intimidate parents who in many cases didn't even know, perhaps until this year, that there was a school board. It's hard to believe based upon recent developments, but on the other hand, it's not hard to believe because so many parents did not even know what was going on in their schools and how they could affect change because they didn't know there was a school board. So you send your request. So here it is right here, instructions. School districts routinely hide curriculum in teachers' manuals. And by the way, ask for the teacher's manual because that tells you the outcomes that the teachers are expected to produce. And they instruct teachers to write it on an erasable surface. They may cite, by the way, so there's a lot of things that are taught where the teachers don't use an actual book. You may not be able to see everything that they're going to tell your child. And they may cite copyright. Oh yeah, I've heard that 10,000 times. Or claim that they have no written curriculum. Remind them federal law applies to all curriculum regardless of format or context. There you go. Are they using the, for example, Amaze site? Can I just, I don't know how much time we have, but I'm going to just take you to this site, you guys, just to give you an example. They use other websites when they're teaching, especially CSE, but other things as well. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to take us to the Amaze site. So Amaze, age appropriate information on puberty for tweens. Barbara, I can see you holding your forehead. This is horrible. Most parents, here it is. This is all about puberty, sexual orientation, gender identity, personal safety. These are very clever, creative videos, cartoons. Here's one on sexual orientation, behavior, and identity. These are designed for middle schoolers. You guys, middle schoolers are like age 11, 12, and 13. Oh boy. So write that down, amaze.org, and visit it. It says more info, less weird. Amaze takes the awkward out of sex ed. Real info in fun animated videos that give you all the answers you actually want to know about sex, your body, and relationships. So the teachers need to be telling the parents that they're going to be showing these videos. Now, that's one reason why it's so difficult to opt out. Okay, moving on. Okay, so here's more federal law, the Civil Rights Act. Now, this all pertains to critical race theory and federal law. All of this here, excellent information. And then we also have our issues pages. So up here at the top, in the menu section, we show issues by state. So if we go to the state of Oregon, click on Oregon, each one of our state organizations has a page like this, and they have their contact information, including their Facebook page and things like that. And individuals in the state can contribute specifically to the groups in that state. So the money stays in the state, which is really cool. We keep about 20% of those contributions for our operating costs, just a little FYI. So here we go, join Parents' Rights in Education. So we ask everybody to fill out the Join Us form on our site. November is Parents' Rights in Education Month. This is something that we do every year, and it's growing. The idea behind it, and here's a link to the site. Click here for more information, is because of the Ninth Circuit. That's why we chose November. Here it is right here, because in November of 2005, the court concluded that parents are possessed of no constitutional right to prevent the public schools from providing information on the subject of sexuality. We believe that was a direct assault on parents' rights. Okay, I'm going to go back here. Okay, now you can watch videos on these pages. Okay, right here, Oregon law, K through 12 education 2021. You might be surprised to know that ORS 336.057 suggests that, not suggests, but states that courses in the Constitution and the history of the United States must be taught beginning no later than the opening of 8th grade and shall continue in grades 9 through 12. So the last year of middle school, they are to begin teaching the Constitution, and shall means must, shall teach it every year thereafter. These are the references to this Oregon statute. Critical race theory and Black Lives Matter at school violate this law. So when you are attending a school board meeting or talking to your school board members about these things, refer to these laws that are on our books. So for example, courses that are critical race theory and Black Lives Matter, like, quote, quote, they're like them. Oftentimes they don't call them that because they want to mislead you into thinking that they're not teaching this. Emphasis and instruction shall be given to honesty, morality, courtesy, obedience to law, respect for the national flag, the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the State of Oregon. I could stop right there. I could stop right there and say, these other things that are anti-American, and we call it anti-American education, are being violated because they're teaching against our form of government. Respect for all humans. Item B, regardless of race, color, creed, national origin. religion, age, sex, or disability. Respect for. In other words, we don't stereotype. Okay, Margaret says, so no rulings in 21 years. That's correct. Yeah, we took a lawsuit to the Supreme Court, Margaret, as you know, and they did not hear it. And that was after Amy Coney Barrett was admitted to the Supreme Court. Okay, so moving on. Oh, did you have another question? No. Okay, Black Lives Matter at school promotes some races over others, violating this law. So we cite these various laws. Please use this as a resource. Enforces the rights of parents to access curriculum materials. Here we go. Here's an ORS law that says each school district shall give parents, guardians, and district residents an opportunity to examine the instructional materials to be used in any class. Any class. Underline that, highlight it, circle it. Course, assembly, or school-sponsored activity. That's it. If they're going on a field trip, if they're being shown a film, whatever it is, the parents should know what is being taught. And I guess I would say that a smart school district is going to make all of these things available to their constituency, those people who elected them. Because everyone, whether they're parents or citizens, should know what is being taught in our schools. And the whole idea that they are hiding this from us is very telling. If they don't want us to know what they're teaching our children, something ain't right. Something ain't right. And it's better as a school district to err on the side of being conservative. Parents can access, for example, that Amaze website that I showed you earlier. That information is available. Parents are welcome to show their students. I mean, it's their own private and individual right to teach their children whatever they wish. So, you know, the argument that this is not being shown in the school, for example, the argument in favor of showing the Amaze content in our public schools, even though, you know, they say, well, it's controversial, but we should be showing it to everyone. Well, actually, no, that argument does not hold any water, because the public schools are for everyone. And because we have a lot of different people who live in our districts with various value systems, we don't want to offend anyone, do we? Because the public schools are for everyone, and the parents have the right to teach them at home. Public schools should be focusing on academic content, and where controversial, the policy should be opt-in. Wow, that's pretty straightforward. Okay, I want to make sure that you understand the relationship of the superintendent of public instruction to the school districts. That's all outlined here. Bottom line, the superintendent of public instruction in the state of Oregon is capital I, capital S, the superintendent of public instruction. The governor is the superintendent of public instruction. It's all outlined here. The governor appoints the deputy superintendent of public instruction, who basically is the bureaucrat who runs the Department of Education in Oregon. There also is a board of education in the state of Oregon. They're the State Board of Education, and that board is appointed by the governor. So they've got something going on, don't they? Okay, and we don't have any say as to who those individuals are. We used to vote, but that was changed in 2011 by Governor Kitzhaber. Okay, the National Education Association advocates against these academic and career skills. So Governor Kate Brown demurred earlier this summer regarding whether she supported the plan passed by the Oregon legislature to drop the requirement that students demonstrate they have achieved these essential schools. But then she did finally sign the bill. And of course, you probably are familiar with that. No reading, no writing, and no math. And I'm the rest of it, I think you can take a look at. So how else can I show you what's going on here? So here we go. These are the issues. So what we've done, ladies and gentlemen, is we have specified laws by state, and based upon the states that we represent. And we invited other states to participate with Parents' Rights in Education, because frankly, the state of Oregon, the parents in the state of Oregon were very much in the dark, and they really didn't understand the gravity, I don't believe, of what is going on here. Now they have been more enlightened, but because of that, and because of the interest that we were receiving from so many parents outside of Oregon, and we have quite a good presence on the internet, and people find us because of the name of our organization. They're seeking to know, what are my rights? And those first calls are highlighted in a speech that I gave, many speeches I've given recently, just heartbreaking discussions. And the main issue is comprehensive sexuality education, which is an umbrella over social emotional learning and so many others. And you can access all of these. We have many articles addressing CSE, teaching consent, sex trafficking. We say, let the parents decide. Now that is about, okay, right here, opt-in. So this is the opt-in policy. We also have this logo on our homepage, and you can access it directly from that homepage. Parents should decide if CSE is medically accurate, age appropriate, healthy, and safe. So the state has mandated that CSE should be medically accurate. Well, we take exception to that, and you can read all about it here, and you probably already know that's controversial, this medical accuracy. And we have seen that play out with the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates that are coming down the pike, not only for our children, but for us. So the government, can't decide medical accuracy necessarily, right? And especially when it comes to our minor children, we make that decision. We also believe that parents should decide when things are age appropriate, especially sensitive information such as sexuality teaching. And of course, healthy and safe. Well, healthy and safe is very dependent on medical accuracy and age appropriateness, isn't it? So who at the end of the day should be deciding whether or not this information is taught to minor children? And any of this verbiage that you see on our site, and I you can read it for yourselves. I don't have to read it to you. Any of it you can use. That's why we have it here. It's very, very good. Okay, so PRE encourages school districts to provide an opt-in policy, not opt-out, for courses pertaining to controversial and sensitive materials, programs, and curriculum. Now, here it states used in health curriculum, but now, it could pertain to any curriculum, really. And that's up to the local school district to tailor the policy to the curriculums that they choose. Okay, opt-out puts parents on the defense, and often even with a request on file, students are exposed to assemblies, outside speakers, and curriculum from which their parents have requested an exemption. The default has to be opt-out, and that means everybody is considered not in the class. That's the default, and it gives parents then the choice and peace of mind knowing that their children will not be exposed to these kinds of curriculums without their knowledge or consent. Opt-in protects the school and board members. Hello, Renee, you can relate to this. If kids are opted in, then the school and the board members are exempt from unnecessary lawsuits because they have written permission from the parent to take these classes if they so choose. And that also puts the burden on the parent to evaluate the content and then choose whether or not their child will take the class. Make sense? We're not opting out of all of health curriculum. We're opting out of this specific curriculum. And here's one last, I think, huge reason to adopt this policy. And that is that it confines the teaching to a period of time and a class instead of having it taught in every class across the board within the school system, which is what the state wants. And they have actually tried very hard, and they're doing a pretty good job of it, of saturating the school day, 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon or 2:30, whenever they're out, with content that should be confined to a specific time and period of the day. Okay. So I think that's pretty much my presentation. What other questions do you have of me or comments? And I'll take a few. I can, point you to the appropriate pages on our site, and then I'll hand it back to Richard. Questions? Are you all unmuted?
Yes, go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question, or you can do another question in the chat window if you wish. But if you have questions, now's the time.
I have a question.
Okay.
On that last page that you were talking about, the opt-in and the opt-out, it looked like there was a typo saying it has to be opt-out. And when I think you meant to say opt-in, it has to be opt-in, so the parents have peace of mind and everything, right? I'm trying to find it again.
I just left it, but I will be happy to review that. People get confused with opt-out, opt-in. And when we say the default is opt-out, meaning that when you send your child to school, the beginning of school, it is assumed. It's like, if you look at it like it's a elective, it's treated as an elective, but with parent permission. So opt-in makes controversial courses an elective that requires parent permission.
Suzanne?
People, they do get mixed up. They say, well, opt out, they get all mixed up, but when the default is opt out, that means the children cannot take the class. It's just like going on a field trip. You have to get permission, written permission from the parents to put them on a bus, because there's liability. And we believe that that same liability pertains to some of the teaching that's currently done in our schools. Yes, Barbara. Barbara? Oh, okay.
Well, I guess I will. Are you involved so much with the school choice, particularly? Do you coordinate with those folks? I know we've got Cascade Policies, very, very leadership in Oregon. Are you connected with some of the school choice people?
Yes, we are. And we do have, as you can see, a homeschooling page on our site. We encourage people to, based upon, okay, let me say this. So I carried the first petition in the state of Oregon. You probably remember that, Barbara. Remember that very first one, the school choice petition?
Oh,
Yes,
Measure 11,
and
I
we
think.
voted on it. That was that and the AIDS curriculum were the two, main topics that brought me into politics in the state of Oregon. Our children were in school at that time. And so I'm very familiar with choice, and I'm a free market advocate, big time. And I understand, and I ran my own business for 25 years very successfully. And I believe in competition in the marketplace. And that's the problem when you have a benevolent dictator running your public school system is that you need to provide some competition in the marketplace if you have no access to a governing body that can change, what's going on in your schools. Now, in our schools today in Oregon, so we've got this interesting dynamic going on here when it comes to what can people actually do. Because we had a very challenging time, and I've run for public office a few times myself, winning elections, Barbara. Yes, we love Glenn Youngkin. And I was in conversation with a gentleman in Virginia recently, and he's working on some legislation, to help Glenn, have a better time of it while he's governor. Because he has a bit of a challenge with his legislature at this time. In 2 years, that could change. The dynamics could change. And so his victory is definitely encouraging. I mean, believe me, I was, dancing the jig just like the rest of you. However, realistically, we're not going to have school choice. Probably, I mean, we don't know, but I'd like to see some polls that say that we will elect a governor and pass school choice in the same election cycle. That's pretty wishful thinking in the state of Oregon. But we are making the case, Barbara. We're making the case for school choice. They're making it for us, right?
Yes.
They're making it for us. And so that's why enlightening parents, they didn't even know that there were school boards. Okay. So, but there are pockets of light, and I point at Renee Powell, who's one of the Fearful Four, and she's on this call. She is on the school board in Newburgh, and they just this week terminated. I kind of like that word "terminate," don't you? It reminds me of.
I'd like to hear more details.
I like that word "terminate."
You are terminated.
They terminated their governor, their governor, almost their governor, the superintendent in the school district. Why? Well, pretty much because he wasn't taking it seriously that he was hired by and should answer to the school board and the policies the school board is passing. And he did not do that. I mean, it was pretty straightforward, not rocket science, not rude, not crude, just fact. And we need to be doing that. I mean, we're bowing down to these Newburgh people. Give them Renee applause, absolutely, because that's not easy. But they are sticking together and they're doing the hard work that is necessary to take back their schools, which have been overrun by one group's ideology. Okay, not respecting others in the district except themselves. So, so that's how we can take our schools back. But in that process, I'm hoping for school choice, absolutely. But we can't put all our eggs in that basket right now and represent all of the students out there who are stuck with the public schools and so much money. So I want to direct your attention after we leave the call to this page. This page, okay, wait a minute, it didn't take me there. Excuse me. Right here, it says Safe School Summit. And Richard Burt gave a great presentation at our summit as well, introduced his organization. And he was a sponsor of this summit. It's an entire day of presentations. There's my presentation, America's Children First. Walt Heyer, this is a mother, a Newburgh mom. Unfortunately, we're losing our brightest and best, many of them. They're leaving the state. And these are young families who can't wait. They cannot wait for things to get better. Adrienne and her husband have 2 young children. They have an older daughter who is age 14, and she did attend the Newburgh schools, and you'll want to listen to her testimony. This is an attorney that represented us to the Supreme Court. This one I want you to watch. This is a presentation by Missy Cara, our Texas pre-director. It's titled, "We've Got the Playbook." Just go to this page on our website and watch her presentation. Phenomenal. The money is pouring in. This is Obama grants, billions of dollars that have been funneled through Health and Human Services to the, guess what, CDC. We don't trust them, do we? And back out into every single school district and community in this country. Other things, this talks about our, our organization. This is our leader in the state of Washington. And by the way, they are kicking butt up in Washington State, you guys. We got to pay attention to what they're doing. They have more chapters. This is our first chapter in Washington State. And now they are following the model, and they are establishing parents' rights and education chapters in every school district in Washington. Yay. And we are partnering with Western Liberty Network to train them into how, by the way, into how to elect school board members. So in the state of Washington, 129 individual candidates running for school board. Richard, get that, running for school board. They
That's
were
great.
begging Parents' Rights and Education to endorse them. That's how it should look. And it can look that way here in Oregon. I'm not giving up entirely, but, I hope we can, get better organized. And we are looking for, we got to be looking to the next school board election, right, Renee? Hang on to our board, you bet. Yeah, the next school board election, the next city council election. These far left, I would say American Marxists,
Yep.
are trying to steal. Yes, they are stealing our local governments. So they're working from the bottom up. That's what grassroots is, right? It's the bottom. It's, the grassroots from the bottom up. And this is where Richard does such a great job, because he hasn't given up on local races. They are the bedrock of our nation. And I believe if we take our school boards back, we can take back our country.
Well, you're
think
right,
about
you're
that
right.
in Virginia. Amen,
Well,
amen.
You're
Yeah,
right.
If we don't, we'll lose our country.
you're right.
Yep. Suzanne, I'd like to interject here. One of the things that I often say to people is that there are transitional figures like Donald Trump or Barack Obama or whoever, might be really influential at a given time. They're good at creating a moment, and they're good at creating momentary change. But as you've seen, Donald Trump undid a lot of what Obama did, and Obama undid a lot of what Bush did, and Trump undid a lot of what Obama did, and now Biden is undoing a lot of what Trump did, right? So if you want enduring change, it's not going to come from the top. Victories at the top are important because they do create an atmosphere, they do create momentum. But if you want enduring change, you have to build an underlying culture that will project limited government leaders into the system, an underlying culture that'll support limited government ideas. And that can only happen at the grassroots level. And so in many ways, grassroots activists like the ones that are on this call today are the most powerful people when it comes to determining what the future of our country will be, because we could have a lot of great transitional figures, but nothing's going to stick unless the grassroots activists create the underlying political culture for our country. And that's the reason why I haven't given up, because I don't see any way around it. I don't see any shortcuts. It's slow, it's expensive, it's labor intensive, but it does work. The left has used this, and they've been reaping the benefits of that. That's why they're in control of too many school boards. That's why they're in control of too many city governments and governments at all levels. But if the limited government side does it too, we will do better because our ideas are better. The disadvantage is that most limited government activists basically want to be left alone. They want to spend time with their families. They want to spend time with their businesses.
Right.
Government and control of government is fun for a lot of people on the left. It's their recreation. A lot of conservatives look at it like doing a hitch in the military. So that's a disadvantage for us. We have to make a volitional effort to be involved. But when we do, we win because our ideas are better and our methods are more inspirational and bring out the best in people. So this is why I don't give up. This is why I continue to work. And I know that's why you continue to work as well. And why everyone on the call should, take heart in their own power and their ability to make change.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much. I invite everyone to join us so they can receive our news alerts. You can go to the Join Us page on our website. I also produce a bi-weekly, twice a week podcast. I just finished one on Newburgh. It was really fun. I love making that announcement and talking about what's going on there. And as you can see, I get really jazzed up about these things. And we must support all of the warriors that we have on our school boards. They need it. It's just ridiculous the activities are going on. And by the way, the mainstream media in Oregon, they will not publish any of it. They will not print anything that I put in a news alert, a press release, nothing. So there's always more to the story. And so you can listen to my podcast. Get my next email is coming out tomorrow morning. So you want to sign up this afternoon. But it's great. And there's a fellow in Newburgh, actually, because of demand, he's created his own media outlet for Newburgh so that the truth can be told. And we got to support him. His name is Kerry Martell, and I have a link to him in my news alert. Everybody needs to go on his, it's called the Yamhill Advocate, I believe. So Yamhill County rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on Carrie's, a note on what Carrie is doing. He can seem a little extreme, but trust me, all of his information is real and he has all the documentation. So it's not just some crazy guy just making stuff up or whatever. It is actual real information that is truth, because I know I'm experiencing it. So
Right. Right.
yeah, so it's all true. So
It's all, yeah, he has screenshots, videos, all of it is produced by the other side. So they are very arrogant, and they're out there, and they think that this is the way our country though was designed, was for us to evaluate the truth and then make a decision. But our normal our regular outlets, including Pamplin Media, which is very disappointing to me, they used to welcome my soapboxes in the 90s. That was what sold papers, for Pete's sake. Now they're very biased, one-sided. I wouldn't pay a cent for any of their information. Sorry. Yeah.
And Carrie could really use some support as well with financial and everything, because he's just pretty much a one-man show and everything. So he's looking for donations and everything, and and I have to do it privately if I do, and so I want to get the word out for support for him, because it's amazing what he's doing.
So Renee, what is the best strategy now going forward? What kind of support from the community and others will help your efforts as a board? I've seen various things on Facebook, email and all of that. I don't know. Do you want to be buried in emails just saying go team, or what would be the best way for us to support you?
Yeah, the emails to the board, the school board, I think it does speak a lot, because all the board members and the faculty and stuff will be seeing that. So it's it's comforting to have all that support coming in, saying, yes, we are behind you. We agree with you. We stand for you. We've had a lot of parents that have been writing in, giving us stories of really what is going on in the schools,
Oh,
which
that's
is
good.
so good to have that out there. There's a lot of parents that have been pulling their kids out of schools. And I said, make sure you write a letter into the board saying why, because I'm sure they're going to love to turn it around saying it's our fault that they are. And they're like, oh no, it's because of all the sex stuff that's going on in the schools and they're not being listened to and everything. So I said, please make sure you write into the board of why you're pulling your kids out. So we have all this
Okay.
documented in there. So that is huge right now. So
Are you taking a lot of personal abuse? And the paper is not enough detail to tell, but are you getting a lot of nasty emails and those kinds of things?
not too bad. We were at first quite a bit. We still have stuff coming in. Occasionally I'll get a nasty voice message or email. We have our own construction design company, and we just got done doing a job for a local coffee shop, and somebody got on that website and was kind of harassing that coffee shop for using my husband because
Yeah.
he was tied to me, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
there is some still that doxing stuff that's going on, but yeah, but it has died down a little bit, but
Okay,
I think it's ramping up again because of what
the firing.
happened. So yeah. But we do have a lot of support, which has been really nice. I mean, I have people writing me from all over the country, saying, encouraging and saying, oh, I wish, and it gives them hope. It's kind of like lighting a fire. It's like, wow, if you guys can do this, maybe we can do this too. So, it's
Good.
huge. Yeah.
We have one additional question from Donna. And she says, what can you tell us of ODE proposal for legislation to exempt superintendents from firing? If they teach the state allowed subjects against the school board, well, firing for any reason. So I would advise school boards to look long and hard at their contracts, how they're wording them. They did a good job in Newburgh. You inherited that, Renee. That was pretty dang good, because you did not have to give any reason for the firing.
Sorry, Suzanne. Also, I want to give everybody too a heads up. That Kate Brown is trying to pass a law. I think it will probably go into effect in February. That it's going to make it even harder to fire superintendents because she sees what's happening, and that she doesn't like it, and because she's losing control. And so she's trying to pass some kind of a bill that it's going to protect the superintendents. So pretty much the school boards aren't going to have as much power anymore. So if you want something to change, you better do it before February.
Well, it means that, in other words, this will be legislation introduced in the short session, and the school board association will probably support it because they want to protect their superintendent.
Yeah. So it's not good. So yeah.
Well, basically that will neuter the school board, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
absolutely no say as to what the schools are doing, and then why have a board?
Yeah, I mean, they butt out. Yeah.
So okay, if they want to keep pushing, then there will be a greater chance for school choice, Barbara. Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as terrible as this all has been with the pandemic, it's the good part is the homeschooling now. There's more people and they're knowing what's going on, but it's unfortunate that it had to come to this. I'm curious about one thing. There was a bill passed, the Civics Education Act this last session that, well, I'm surprised it got passed, where they have to teach a semester of civics. Were you surprised that, that after they said you don't have to know math to graduate? Um, uh, anyway, I was kind of surprised at that bill.
Honestly, there was so much else going on.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
No, I
anything
mean,
about that.
yeah, it was the classroom law project that's based out of Portland that it was their bill, but I was surprised that, that
And she
anything got
signed
passed.
it. It's
Yeah.
amazing she even found her
Yeah.
pen. Yeah.
Yeah,
But as you can see, and I wasn't able to go through all of the bills, we have an entire paper that is devoted to all of the laws that Oregon has, that Oregon doesn't follow. And all of the laws that they passed that completely contradict other laws that are on the books. Now, there is a procedure, a legislative procedure for that. And of course, that's all gone out the window with the Democrat rule. And so, if they're going to pass a law that contradicts another law, it seems like they should be amending those laws or at least retiring the existing law if they're going to replace it with another. So which law should we follow? I mean, and that's the conundrum. But if I'm a parent, I'm going to go in there with a law that's on the books that, if it's still on the books, they should be following that law. Otherwise, they should have gotten rid of it. I mean,
well, they're supposed to. I mean, yeah.
Laws.
I mean, they have legislative council there, and they're supposed to tell them that and amend and everything. So it's just hard to know, and
It's kind of a mess, guys. So, really, we do have the capability with the boards at this time. If this law passes, Renee, and they neuter the boards, we are in trouble. Because well, I don't know, you could probably count them on one hand, the conservatives who are superintendents of school boards in the state of Oregon. And they just keep digging us into a ditch here, that we cannot get out of. And I mean, I feel terrible about it. It just took us too long, I think, to wake up. If she's able to do that, and that also means that anyone, though, who runs for governor, and this is what I prayed for 3 years ago, we have to make this a crisis. Public education, K through 12, is a crisis. It's not one issue. It's not one subject. Look, I mean, they're even making it more of a crisis. So whoever runs for the governor in this state, and if it's a Glenn Youngkin situation, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that candidate to circle the wagons and say, I'm going to do this about education. First of all, I'm going to repeal that law that Governor Brown signed in the special session, giving rightful power back to local communities. Period. And I mean, that was what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear this discussion about K through 12 education, curriculum, all of that, to be in the mix of issues that people talk about. And we've avoided it. We've avoided it in Oregon, that's for sure. No consultant I ever had said, talked about these things with me and said, well, this is a good talking point, when you're running for office. Well, duh. Yeah, because they have so much money.
They do. I heard rumors, and I don't know, Suzanne, if you heard anything about the homeschool, that Kate Brown's trying to do something as well too with.
Of course she is. They're, homeschoolers are targets. They want to go after homeschool. So this is another reason why choice, they're just they're winning the war for us on choice. Because if they introduce no control at the local level of our public schools, and we're going to go in all out assault and attack on anyone who chooses to educate their child, including, well, charter schools or government schools, so they're part of the system. Okay, so they're already done. And
Yeah,
then
but private schools,
private schools, that's what's the
Mhm.
next thing. So then private schools, well, what are they going to do? It's just like it, I talked about the free market, et cetera. Well, they want to control the private schools, and they want to control homeschooling, which is essentially a private school. It's just the parents are the teachers. So they're going to try to make it so that the individuals teaching all these students must be registered with the state, and they must conform to state regulations. So that then we're right back to where they want us, regulating all of us. And if somebody wants to teach their kids at home and not report to the state, more power to them. I mean, what's fascinating here also, you guys, is there's a whole nother dynamic that I'm experiencing in this role, because I'm talking to people all across the country. We have other states that we're representing, and we've had individuals from Oregon flee Oregon City, move to Coeur d'Alene, and they feel like they're back in Oregon City. And people in Idaho were in denial. They were saying, "Oh no, we don't have any problem here," And I said, "You should start a parents' rights chapter there." "No, we don't really need one." Well, I was on an 1.5-hour conference call with Idaho this week, and they want to join us. This has to be a national effort. We all have to work together to make the case for parents' rights. We have actual rights, unlike so many groups that say that they have human rights, gay rights, whatever. I mean, we have actual rights as parents of children in this society, in this country. And the masks, the vaccines, hormones that they're giving our kids, all of this. Signing them up for, a sex change at OHSU without the parents' knowledge or consent,
Oh,
talking behind parents' backs. I mean, I've heard it firsthand from parents. Talk about stories. The only bad thing about the last 1.5 years, of not having kids in school, was that the stories began to dwindle. We did have some stories of what was taught online, but the counseling part, the harassment part, our kids are being harassed. When I say ours, no student should be bullied. We heartily defend the rights of school districts to create a culture of respect, not allowing or tolerating any form of bullying against anyone in the school, right? Against teachers, against staff, against any group. Yeah, exactly. Against school board members, against anyone. That should not be tolerated. I mean, all those teachers in Newburgh who have been circling the wagons and calling employers of the 4 school board members who are passing good, solid policy, just about having the American flag in the classroom. Okay, they coordinated their efforts, staff, teachers, okay, going after school board members, calling their employers and saying, you should fire this person. They're bigots. They're bigots. They're homophobic or whatever. And then one employer did fire one of the school board members. So
and they were going after one of the school board members' marriage, trying to get in between the marriage and everything.
right. Well, to threaten the spouse, because and they will stop at nothing.
No.
They don't know how to spell the word scruples. They have none. They believe that their cause is so righteous. Well, you know this, I'm speaking to the
It's a
choir.
religion. It's a
They will do
religion.
anything. They will attack. They will, and so this other school board member, Brian, who has been a director for, this is his 3rd year now. He is the sole breadwinner in his family. Lost his job. 2 small children at home. Now he's a smart guy and he was hired probably in a better situation anyway, but that's not the point. The fact that they think that they can do that, and as an employee of the school district, so, you know, we need to really rally around. I mean, it's gonna require sacrifices, and I'm talking about financial. Our organization is a 501c3, and I will have to put in a plug for us because, you know, I can't keep doing this, you know, on a shoestring. Either it's good and people support it or it's not. And I'm willing to take that. I mean, I was a business owner. If nobody hired me to help them, then, you know, I don't have a job. So, you know, I'll take that and we'll pick up our ball and maybe we'll throw it across the river to Washington State. But I think that would be a shame, really a shame. So, you know, yeah, we need to support people like, you know, like Western Liberty Network, 501c3. Who else? I mean, we've got to start making this a priority. And those of us who are in our retirement years, which my husband and I are, you know, we have sacrificed for this organization personally, and it's worth doing because we're making headway.
Well, this is definitely a time when the issues that you bring to the fore are really active. People are focusing on them.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, a lot of organizations are looking for money and support.
Yes, they are.
And, but parents' rights and education is certainly one of those that's worthy of support. And, you know, I certainly don't discourage anyone from throwing a few bucks their way. It's something we all have to invest in with our time, talent, and treasure. And I know that everyone who is involved here, the people I know who are on this call today, have all done magnificent jobs of doing that. So does anybody else have anything else, any other questions today? We're running a little long, but that's okay. The quality is high.
So thank you. A big thank you. A big thank you.
Sure, no problem.
you.
The material that Suzanne has provided has been fantastic. And this is going to be recorded and it will be posted on the training page of the westernlibertynetwork.org website by sometime early this evening. And of course, keep abreast of what's going on through the westernlibertynetwork.org website, where you will be able to register for our annual conference very, very soon. So anyway, thanks again to Suzanne.
I've signed up. I'm coming February 5th.
Yep, she's awesome. So hope to see you all there. And maybe we'll see you next week at our next training. That'll be posted probably Monday, maybe Tuesday. So anyhow, God bless and have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you all.